can turn up the music. My guy.
All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else around the world, thank you all for tuning in today. I'm Millionaire Mike, and with the short back and side boys are back.
All right.
There's the
on,
gang
guys,
side.
man.
Yeah, the one that you said you weren't going to do.
Yeah, Tribe's the only one responding, but anyway. There you go. That's the energy, man. But anyway, listen, to my left.
Mr. Blake. Trife.
RW.
Pleasure P.
There you go, that's the
Where's
man
the
there.
gang size?
That was a
Man,
P
them
side,
there,
man.
bro.
What are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
Pleasure
Look
P,
at the
man.
gang side of
yeah,
this
yeah.
thing.
It's all, yeah.
for Arsenal.
That's the Arsenal, isn't it? Shout out to the Doc who couldn't make it today. So
Yeah, big up Doc.
Yeah, big up Doc wherever he is. I hope all is well, my guy. But today, gentlemen, I want to talk about something that is quite important. I think the subject that we should actually touch on.
Yeah.
It's the migration of people living in London,
Yeah.
seeking pastures new outside of London.
Yep.
In the UK still, yeah?
In the UK, in the UK, or just maybe in suburban parts of the city. I mean, all of us are London-based, so
Yeah.
we all grew up in London. But as time went on, it's fair to say that I would say probably the majority of us here, anyway, including Doc, who's not here, decided to seek our successes and grow outside of the city. Right. So I want to ask, like, from your point of view. First of all, show of hands of you mans who are still living in London.
Yeah, but I'm looking to move out, and I've obviously lived out of London for quite a long time.
Okay.
So
But you and Reese are still living in London.
Yeah.
So that makes me, Mr. Blake, and Pleasure P, the man them outside of you, living outside London.
Yeah,
So it's the
and Doc.
majority of us. And Doc, make it four.
Yeah.
All right. So the question I want to pose to the panel today is, why do you think people are leaving London or considering leaving London?
it's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in from back in the day.
Yeah.
There's no spirit to it, man. Like back in the day, you go out somewhere or just like down the road and kind of like locals, if that makes sense. So people that were like you, that were brought up here and stuff like that. And now it's not even that. It's just
changed.
It's just changed. It's not spirited anymore.
What? So are you saying that the demographic of the people that you used to grow up with isn't the same anymore?
No, I wouldn't even just.
That's not the problem. The problem is it's just not the. How can I put it?
Okay, let me start with you two, because you two are still London based. So why are you two still in London? How about that?
Because obviously I work in London and stuff like that. Obviously most of the time I work from home, but work from London. But I'm looking to move out of London, so I'm looking for the right place to move into, kind of thing. Previously, I lived in Midlands, and really enjoyed it, man. It was a bit of a breath of fresh air for me. I moved up there early 30s, kind of thing. I had loads of kind of friends that moved up to them kind of place, that kind of area.
Yeah.
And I used to go up there, and they just seemed more happier, more freer. They had more time for like their kids and stuff.
When you're looking to make that move in the
next year, definitely, man,
Next year
because
too.
London's just draining, man.
Okay. So Reece, I want to ask you some questions. So you sit in London now. Are your aspirations similar to Trife? Are you looking to leave the ends?
Yeah, I will be. I mean, for me, it's not just leaving London. It's looking at, more international options. Not just the city, but looking at it as a nation.
Yeah.
So there are things that I'm looking at personally as to what I want to do next. But to go back to your kind of original question, what's changed? It has changed dramatically. I'll put it out there. I think the demographic has fundamentally changed.
Do you mean immigration?
I mean, as in immigration, but we're talking about I'm talking about race and the difference within it.
Yeah.
When I was younger, growing up, especially where the part of London I was growing up in, it helps set me. If I'm honest, it helps set me up for my life later on, because I was going to be going into white majority environments.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the reasons why my parents moved to where they moved to.
Yeah.
And that helped to prepare me. I remember when I was at uni, I speak to some people that were from parts of London that weren't white majority, and they had a real culture shock when they were at university, because for the first time they were in small numbers, and they're like, but that's what this nation is. Do you know what I mean? And I think that for me has changed. It's just changed the dynamic. That is, it's not about being, for each other, it's not about being racist. It's just simply a matter of, this is, when my parents came here when I was growing up, white majority country, you kind of expect particular things.
Hold that thought, because Mr. Blake wants to come in.
I want to jump on that point. So, for those that don't know, I used to live in Belgium for a couple of years. I've lived in Belgium twice. And I remember the last time I lived in Belgium, I came back to London in 2013, and I remember my mum said, "No, better come back." And I was like, "Why not, mum? London has changed. England is not the England you grew up in and you came up in." And I remember coming back, struggling to get a job, seeing different people, which I've got no problem with, but there was a different vibe. And I remember I was talking to someone, and someone said to me, "There is no community in London." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "In order to have community in London, you have to have a good white English base to that community." And he was like, "Yes, we had the Olympic Games and the Queen's birthday. But apart from that, do you know your neighbours? Do your neighbours know you? Or do you even want to know your neighbours?" There's so much like diversity on roads where it's got to the point people are saying, "Nah, multicultural don't work. Multicultural doesn't work in London anymore. It's not serving the purpose that it once did."
So does the multiculturalism of London, has it had an impact in your decision to leave London?
Great question. I think for me, as a black man from Northwest London, no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no. And it goes back to what...
you need to expand on that.
And it goes back to what RW is saying. Growing up in Brent is one of the most multicultural boroughs in the whole of London and the whole of the country.
Of course.
So those that grew up in Brent or surrounding around Brent, you were privy to certain things. So I'm not going to turn around and come on this podcast and be like, nah, that's the reason why I left, because where I live now is an extension of that. So I live in Berkshire now, and there's wholly multiculturalism there, but it's on a different level.
So do you have better neighbourly relationships in Berkshire than you do in London?
Put it this way. People come and say hello to me on the road. They don't business that I'm a 6'4" black man. I could be in Tesco and the people then will start conversation with me. And I'm like, I'm looking at them as if to say, "Bro, what are you talking to me for?" But that's a London mindset. That's a London mentality.
But I want to dig deeper though. Like, you're a professional, so the part of Berkshire you live in is probably a part of Berkshire that is middle class. So if I was to take you to the... because you know what, if you lived in... I'm sure there's ends in Berkshire, and if those ends are like the ends that we grew up in London, the man, or the people, they might not be as, forward, friendly as
this is the thing. I'm not going to go on like I live in the nice middle class part of Berkshire, because I don't. And that's my exact point. There's still that grittiness, that working class element where people will still come up to you and say hello and have conversation with you.
Okay, cool. So the ethics is different.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's when you go to their middle class, affluent areas, that's when you don't get shown the love, because you're the only black in the village.
Okay. I want to bring P into the conversation, because P's been there quiet, looking all sultry and that.
What is wrong with you?
No, you just like chilling with your eye. P, you left North London, right?
Yeah, so I actually tried to do a different part of London.
Yeah.
So we moved, I've always been North London. When I got married, we lived in Northwest, Kingsbury.
Yeah,
I was in Kingsbury for a bit.
It's my ends.
And actually, for what it was at that time, when it was just us two, just married, sort of like working, still finding ourselves, it was all good. It was actually okay for that. For me, if I'm honest, I never thought I would leave London, but I just, as a person, I never thought sort of like 2 years ahead. It was only when she got pregnant and we started looking. I'll be honest, we started looking for a property. She wanted to stay in Northwest London because the Asian community and stuff. Because I'm Indian, Terry, as you say, and just get it out of the way. But yeah, so like we were looking in the Northwest area,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, we had a
Best side of
budget,
the world.
which is a reasonable budget. And I always say the story. We walked into this, what they call them, maisonette, maisonette thing. So I was all excited because it's like garden and stuff with the little apartment. Because I grew up in a 2-bed flat in North London, so I wasn't setting my expectations to like house or anything like that. If I'm honest, that's the truth. You go in there, and I was like, "Where's the second bedroom, bro?" And he's like, "Can't you see it?" So I'm there like opening doors, opening doors. Yeah, I'm like, I can't see the second bedroom. We're in the hallway, and I found out this day what a futon was because he rolled it out and he said, "This is the second bedroom."
What?
Wow.
And I was like, what? I was like, that can't be right. And he said, he started splurting off some regulation thing about like, you know, the door width and this and this and this, and therefore it can be classed as a second bedroom. So I was like, no. So that's what forced me to look outside of London.
Right.
Yeah.
That it was the house prices.
This is the house prices.
But
Okay.
if I'm entirely honest, I don't know if it was because Northwest London is very different to North London.
It is.
It's
Very
So I think I was kind of like okay with Northwest because the other side of it was, where do I want to raise my kids?
Yeah.
And I absolutely did not want to raise my
in
kids
North London now.
in North London. I just didn't want to. I didn't want them to go through the same experience I went through in school and stuff.
Yeah.
But can I jump in there? Do you not think they might have not encountered them same problems in Northwest?
Well, so this is the piece, right? So I don't know because I was only in Northwest for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And remember, like at that point, I was 27 years old. So you're not involved in the kind of
What
activities.
problems was that? Sorry, were you?
You know, like in North London,
Yeah.
all kinds of stupidness. I mean, I guess it kind of becomes like a gang because you're in a group of people that do bad shit, right? So essentially, yes. But ultimately, no, it was a thing of survival, right?
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff maybe that we did was because we wanted the newest pair of trainers or we wanted certain things and that wasn't easily accessible to us. And growing up, I don't know about you guys, but I did grow up in a council estate and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so when you see, unfortunately, most of the time, the people that you see successful were not probably doing the things that we are doing today to be classed as successful. At that time, I think that dynamic has changed a little bit over time.
So despite your improvements in economic circumstances, you were still concerned about what your children would be going through.
I mean,
because presumably you were earning more money now than you were when you were living in the block, right?
yeah, I mean, I was working when I still sort of like lived in North London and that. But I always distanced myself away from that. That was the other point. That was another thing that stuck with me was that I distanced myself from the people that I was involved with. Not necessarily the people I grew up with as a child, because I went to school in Tottenham for some reason, even though I grew up in Muswell Hill.
Yeah.
So the people in Muswell Hill, I still talk to those guys or whatever. The people in Tottenham, I just completely disassociated myself because if I carried on in that path.
But what I want to touch on here, guys, is this. So most of the communities that we grew up in the end are people that are either very close to us ethnically or that we have an understanding of, right? And what we're saying here is that we are choosing to depart from the communities that we are accustomed to.
I challenge that a little bit. I think what happens is that we all have a choice, isn't it? Now, unfortunately, us as a group of people probably fit a certain bucket because we've made our decisions and we're doing okay as a group of people.
Yeah.
And there are another bucket of people that were in the same room as us that chose a different bucket to go into, and they're all in the same bucket. So I don't think it's necessarily we try to disassociate ourselves from those that we grew up with. It's just that we as individuals, whether that's through actions we've seen or something like that, we made a choice to say, this is the path I'm following. Because I'm pretty sure all of us here could have gone the other way too, right?
Yeah.
100%. We had plenty of opportunities.
But the point is, like, when you talk about, so for me, with my boys, I mean, I only had one at the time, obviously, my eldest. As soon as I thought he was born, I was like, if there's a percentage that I can give him a better surrounding that enables him to choose what I would deem as a better path, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
So what you're saying here is that class is what motivated you? Is it a
No,
class move?
I don't think it's class.
It's not a class move.
But it sounds like, but from what you said though, it does sound like you would be distancing yourselves from those that, and there's nothing wrong in it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you've grown, you've made choices to get yourself to where you are.
Yeah.
You want your children to have the best, and then surely that means the best environment that you can manage for them. And if that means further distance from a pot that that we don't think is where we want to be or where we want our children to be, then we would distance ourselves, be it geographically, we do it economically, we do it
schools.
professionally.
Yeah.
Isn't that just the
Right
path
thing
of
to do.
success?
Do you know, I think because there was the episode Bro Code.
Yeah.
And in that episode, we was talking about, like, I can't remember if it was you, Trife, or Doc. One of you was talking about, like, if someone got involved in an incident or something like that, what would sort of happen?
Yeah.
I don't think it's about class. It's about the decisions that you make, and then also what you want out of life. I guess.
Yeah.
I want to challenge that, P, right? Because just before I let you land, you see, because in my mind, and we've got to explore this subject, is that we are kind of saying that it's safer to live amongst a multitude of whites than it is to live amongst a multitude of people.
No, so I want to be very clear. I want to be very clear.
No, the reason I'm saying this, hold on.
Let me be clear.
The reason I'm
So
saying
that
this
you
is
can
that I'm
push
going
back.
back to the point that Reese made earlier. And I think to me sounded like, because you said preparation into the wild world. Most of it, if you talk about professional ascension and everything else, most of your counterparts are going to be white British.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to be. Certainly they have been in my career.
It does depend on the field.
Yeah.
And then, for example, with mine, it's predominantly white. And to the point where I don't see it, even though I know it's there.
Yeah, you don't look at it like that anymore.
I don't look at it like that because I've got a job to do.
Yeah.
Right? But whether you like it, and there are other shades. There are other shades in there. Hold on, let me finish. And I know it makes me so uncomfortable. Let me finish.
No, it's not uncomfortable.
There are other shades in there, but predominantly it is white, and there are maybe a sprinkle of me and some others.
Because I want to add another question to this, and I'll let you guys just talk amongst yourselves. But if we look at the demographics of London, where house prices could be probably, some of them actually, but now it's all changing, but you would argue that would a black area, for instance, have higher real estate than, say, a white area?
No.
So I was going to talk. So I've moved out. Yeah.
Sorry, did anyone say
Hold on. But there's a thing.
Will your kids go to black area school or white area school?
I want to talk on that.
There's a piece though, because it's changing. It's changing. So I live in Leicestershire now. Yeah. And like,
Leicester's,
I live in a nice house and everything, and the community where I live, it's all detached houses and everything, right? Now, my road, right? We have a joke. It's called Wright Street, yeah, but we call it White Street. That's what we called it. That's what we called it when we moved in, because the first 3 people I saw were white families.
Okay.
But as the houses started getting filled up, there's less white people on my road, and there's so I think there's about maybe 6, 7 houses.
Yeah.
And there's only 2, 3 white families. The rest are either black or Asian.
But
It's a class thing.
they're doing what you've done, though, basically, aren't they?
It's a class thing.
But I don't agree it's a class thing.
I think it's what it's called, the phenomenon of brown flight. We are doing brown flight. Do you know what brown flight is?
Yeah, because they had that in America, didn't they, back in the day?
So you have white flight and brown flight. So white flight is what you saw with a lot of East Londoners. They all moved out to Essex. Same in South London, they moved to Kent.
Yeah.
We have followed suit. We grew up in North West. We're all now living in home counties or further afield. Which I wanted to bring it back to you because you live out the manor now.
I do live out the manor.
What was your motivation for
protecting the gold chains?
It was a very interesting question. So my motivation was twofold. Some of it was to do with not having the access to the economics to be able to buy a yard in the end. Secondly, I also wanted to get away, and I'm sorry to say this, but to some family members and that, I just wanted to carve my own way.
Okay.
I just wanted to no shade. I just wanted to kind of like,
that's your truth, brother.
do what Abraham did. Do you know what I mean?
Preach, brother, preach.
So that's basically the reason why. I just wanted to be fully independent and that, you know. So that's the reason why. Now, what I'm finding though, living out the end and being in an area that is predominantly white, what happens to you when your kids go to school now?
Yes,
and they are the only few black kids in the school. There's a different type of pressure.
Of course.
And it wasn't like when we grew up in London, you could seek friendships in all people groups because there's enough of everybody for everyone to feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? You could have your white brethren, your Asian brethren, and your black brethren, wherever they come from. Do you know what I'm saying? But when you leave the ends because you can't afford to, and you find yourself in a predominantly white area, yes, I would say safer than the ends, 100%. But at the same time, though, I'm having to contend now with my daughters coming home, and all they have is white friends with very, very little diversity, and they are the only black kids in the year or in the class, and that causes issues.
But you see
but isn't this
Similar
the new challenge?
Yeah.
So when our parents made their move, right, we had to engage and deal with things that they didn't have to deal with, and it was a new thing for them. There was no framework. Right. Now, you've made a progressive step or steps.
Yeah.
You're having children. Yes, there's a framework that you have for them to help support them, but ultimately they're going to be walking into a new challenge. In the same way we walked into a challenge and we made the right decisions and had to work through it.
But don't you think that was a lot of it was based on how our parents ensured that we still knew our cultures, in the sense of, yes, we might have friends that didn't look like us, but trust me, when we got back in that yard, you knew you was West Indian, you knew you was African. You were still going to certain places where you'd see people like yourselves. You'd still get in the food that you eat. Certain practices.
But the difference is this, though, is maybe in P's case might be different from my case, but for when we were growing up in the ends, you know, them two could walk into each other's yard. Like you could literally walk to his yard, take you 15 minutes. So when you grew up in an environment where the people that you go to school with resemble you, look like you, and are close to you, you know, even the outside, you know, challenges that you face, you can, you know, we demand them. You know, they all go through it. You can discuss it, you can surmount it. And when I was growing up, anyway, it was predominantly friendships and allegiances were predominantly race driven. You had a couple of man them that, like, you know, outside non-black kids that were cool because they were cool. Do you know what I mean? But it was predominantly looking at, okay, who's another black brother? Okay, cool. He seems cool. I'm going to come his brethren.
But there's also the dynamic now with this generation where a lot of their friends aren't necessarily in person. A lot of friends are made through online engagement on particular things.
They're not similar.
There's a different dynamic where it's just
they don't play outside like we used to do and stuff like that.
They're made friends through someone on Twitch. That person happens to be Eduardo, who lives in Paraguay or wherever. Do you know what I mean? But there is an element of an international community there. But going back to your point, it's the onus is on the parents in the home to make sure that the culture is still transferred and translated and also protected. Like I remember when I remember asking when I left high school, went to college, and you know was more in the culture. I remember asking my mum, why did you pick Harrow? You know, why didn't you pick like Harsden? No, I'm serious.
But it's a genuine question.
It's like, because it was at that point where I could begin to see a distancing. Right? And I said, why did you do that? I remember my mum saying, what, so you can just go out there and get involved in drugs?
No, but it's a valid point. But I read that.
She pushed me. She said, that was a big part of it.
If you look at most black families our age, whose parents are in Harrow, they were literally from Brent. Moving to Harrow was like, you've made it.
They were
back in the day.
They were the first. They were the first black family on the road. You know, it was. It was very. You know, it was a different time, different culture for them. But there was a understanding. That isn't to say everyone in Harsden is involved in that.
No, that's a great point.
But it is also that if you're young and black and male, there are these factors you have to think about.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But you know what's scary now? And I think those outside of London, and even you two have seen it, you move to the home counties or you move further afield, and then you walk into the problems that are already in the area, and then the problems of London overspill are coming in there. So we'll take Luton, for example, is a great example of that. You have the man them from Marsh Farm, Lucy Farm. You have the Eastern Europeans. You have the EDL lot. You have all the Pakistan lot. Then you have the Northwest lot. Everyone's on top of each other, and the problems that you were running away from, you've just come into the next batch, and that's escalating further.
True.
And then it makes you think, all right, do we move further afield? And then you get displaced.
Scotland.
No, but it's true. Because like
everyone's got their problems.
because when they're knocking down the states in Northwest, the first priority of housing now is like Birmingham, Preston,
Newcastle,
all them ends there, and you've got no connection. And then you've got a group of people going up there that just they come like social misfits because they've got no connection to the area. They're away from their support units, and it's just, I don't know, it's gentrification of the hoods.
But you're talking from a point of view that's if you're at the mercy of these social structures and social support. If you are a resourceful individual that can make choices as to where you want to live, like especially I'm thinking of recent Tribe right now. When they're going to make the choice to leave London, they're going to go and live somewhere where they can afford to live. They won't be at the mercy of where the social security services say, we're going to put you in this block and that block.
True.
So even though them man there are young black males, because of their economic nature and strength, they're probably going to start partying with man them that are even maybe white, mixed race, or even whatever background they're from. But they understand the money. They're professionals. Do you know what I mean? So there'll be a level of respect that they can command purely by living in certain areas.
That's quite interesting you say that, because obviously my first move from London was to Bedford. And they do like, on the new builds, they do like a certain amount of social housing.
It's 20%.
So when I lived in Bedford, there was quite a bit of that. It seemed over the 20%, if I'm honest, but it was quite. No. I'm
feeling a bit more like 35.
But do you know what's fucked? In Bedford, they actually coloured the flats blue, so you knew. I swear down. All the social houses were coloured a different colour, like painted a different colour.
Just so we know who you are.
Just so that we know who you are.
So when the blue paint comes, you live there.
But what I noticed is, so moving to Leicestershire now, I don't think it's 20%, bro. It looks like visually, it looks like it's reduced. So
yes, it is reduced.
Okay, because I was going to say, so
it is reduced.
This estate that I'm on now, literally, is one bit by the park.
Or social housing.
I'm sure they're the only social houses, because without sounding disrespectful, it's a certain type of outside of house look.
But then let me ask you something. When you and the family moved to Leicester, do you think your white neighbours thought you lot were social housing? Respectfully.
When I moved to Leicester?
Yeah, he's got the whip, man.
I can't lie to you. This is how. No. Sorry. This house is an upgrade on the last house. So I think it's quite obvious. You know what I mean? It's bait. But what I did notice is, and it's quite interesting, and this is baiting out now, if anyone that I live around sees this, it's quite bait. But, I said we called it White Street, because obviously at first it was white people. And I said this in one of the episodes. The dude came knocking on my door, and I was like, I'm not interested in you. Like, what was it? There was an episode we did, and I said, like, I don't want no new friends.
Yeah.
So I was saying, like, no. Anyway, fast forward in time now,
Patrons.
There's Kenny from. Oh shit!
So number one, there's
Anyway, I'll take that bit out. But anyway, it's evolved. So what I noticed is, so my house was here. And me and the neighbours opposite us, they're Asian, we're mixed, and then everyone else is black or Asian, and the WhatsApp invite stopped at our house.
Why? Because you're not Asian or black?
No, because I think they thought there were going to be more white people moving in. But it's ethnic people moving in, and actually, like, my wife, she's in the group, because I was like, I'm not fucking getting involved in that shit. But she's in there, and it's just the white guys and her. And I think our neighbours across from us. That's it.
Really?
They stopped.
Oh,
they stopped. They stopped as the ethnics moved in. The WhatsApp invitation stopped.
The WhatsApp invitation stopped. That's
No
interesting.
black on the Union
Digital.
Jack.
Yeah, and what it is, so the
Segregation.
house 2 doors from me, that's where the one I just painted out lives, yeah? And I think his family have moved into like a big house there, and they go up and down, and then the next door neighbours, who's between me
They
and
must
them,
be jarred.
sold their house, bro.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
What? And are those neighbours of Caucasian extraction?
Yeah, 2 white gay guys.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So they probably
I can only
felt
imagine, but
felt
like,
threatened.
It just reflects
The white
to you.
flight.
Not even just the white flag, but how much we're in a bubble in London.
Yeah.
In the sense of all our neighbours are different ethnicities, and then when we step out that M25, it's a whole different.
there's a different ball game, man.
Yeah.
So I wanna throw in a point now. So
Yeah, go on.
The majority of us are out of London and home counties. You two are thinking about moving, coming out. Do you think in 5-10 years you'll still be in the UK? Or do you
No.
think you'll be out?
Out of the UK, definitely, man. The UK taxes are just mad, prices are going up, and it's just not a nice place to live, man. If you have a choice, like, which I do with like what I do for a living and stuff like that, I can work from anywhere in the world and kind of like still command the same kind of financial package, and there's opportunities, man. So why would I want to stay in this country? The only thing really keeps me in is because of family and stuff like that, and just this is where I kind of grew up and stuff. But again, because it's lost its soul to me, there's just definitely opportunities to move out the country, man, and I will take them as soon as they come.
I know like 2 guys who moved to Australia, big moves, like
we'll go to
old
Australia,
family and
though.
all that. Like they got older. No. But honestly, you say that, bro. But the standard of life, like
different.
my one guy.
But
But one guy I worked with in that, like he's actually like calmed down in terms of his level of job.
Yeah.
So he's actually dropped levels.
Yeah.
Decent pay.
Yeah.
When I FaceTime him, he's got a pool. He's got a fucking.
What is he though? What is he?
He works in HR.
No, but what?
He's
ethnicity?
a Muslim guy.
Muslim guy.
Yeah.
But what colour Muslim?
Yeah.
Muslims come in
Indian.
different colours.
Indian.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
So but like his standard of life, like he says to me, he's like, bro, I finish my work. Nobody calls me after 5 o'clock. Me and the missus, we go down to the beach with the kids and stuff like that. And there's also that bit, like what I found is as I've moved further away from London, because I was going to jump in at one point when you lot were talking about London. I don't think necessarily it's about the different ethnic groups and all that have moved in. I think it's the challenge of living in London. You have to fight for the basics in London. You can't, I don't know how to say this. I'm not saying you can be basic out here. But for example, like when we started working with the Birmingham lot, I'm like, why are these guys so happy? Like life is hard there. And then one person we worked with was telling me that their house was only 57k, blood. No wonder she's.
The mortgage is like
no wonder
£50
they're
a
cool,
month.
because like I'm there with my like over 250 whatever. She's there with 57. The pressures are different for us.
I completely agree.
And that definitely makes a difference, man. Definitely. But I won't be Australia though, because I don't want to get young Phillied.
He was waiting for the drop.
He's been living in Sydney for like 10 years now. He married an Aussie girl. He's Indian Gujarati.
Good day, mate. Sorry.
And I'm not gonna lie, even because I was shook to go to Australia because I used to watch Border Force. And I used to see how Border Force used to course up them Samoans, the Fijians, so when I got to Sydney now, and I was like, "Good day, Mr. Blake. Welcome to Sydney, Australia." I was like, okay. And then when I come out of the airport, there was a massive Muslim contingent outside the airport, and they don't tell me about that. The Muslim community in Sydney. But I say that to say that when I call my brethren, he's at Bondi, having a surf, having a swim, cooking up food on barbecue on the beach. But for me, like you said, it's too far. It's like, I remember when I was out there, I didn't get into El Paso, but basically I was walking up the hill. And 2 Aussie guys were coming up towards me, and one of them goes, "Yo, Debo, what's up, man?"
Debo,
But I'm like, I don't even look nothing like Debo. So it's one of them ones. I was like, I just kind of was like,
Debo,
if I rock it out with you over something like this, no one ain't coming to me for at least 72 hours. Let me just keep my mouth shut and just be like, cool. And then the people that with me were like, "Oh, Kieran, so you have to go through that and So I say that to say, you can go far out like Dubai and certain things, but are you going to be afforded certain luxuries of how it is? I don't.
I hear you saying, but I think for me, like Oz is also just too super liberal. I mean, it's a really, if you have to look at not just the geography and the lifestyle. You also have to think about the politics.
Yeah,
you know, and the politics there, and whether actually where's the laws going, where's that culture actually going. But I think the principle that we're talking about, you know, I agree myself. I don't really see my future being in the UK. There was someone that was I can't remember who it was. He was talking about how a lot of young people now, a lot of them are thinking that their future isn't in the UK. Right? They're very, very disillusioned with the kind of the culture, the economy, opportunities, all these sorts of things.
But isn't that due to globalism, though? We become more globalists in the sense that, or there's a globalist agenda, effectively, that is out there to almost decentralize the concept of nationality, borders, where everyone feels pretty much the same. Like, as you know, I like traveling. I do a lot of traveling. And when I go places, even in Europe, the way that the people dress is like man them from the end. Like they just speak a different language. You can be Barcelona and they all speak in Spanish, but they dressing like youth from up like Sanction and man there.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm like, what's going on?
I agree with you, but I think every nation is having to deal with this, but each one is dealing with it a slightly different way. And going back to what we were saying before about culture, and they're not in London especially, and they're not being. See, multiculturalism, in my opinion, doesn't work, hasn't worked. And the reason that is there isn't one cohesive culture that sits above the others. You've got that in America, right? America has the reason why that culture, it's not perfect, okay? But the reason why it works better is because you've got one overall culture, which is America and patriotism, and then loads of other different cultures underneath that.
Yeah.
In the UK, London especially, you don't have that. You've got a number of different cultures, and in fact, if let's say the people with English or white heritage are proud of theirs, they get called and labelled a racist.
Yes.
So it's very difficult to have the homogenous culture in the same way you have with America. If you look at, you see, we wave the Union Jack, people start to say, "Oh, you're a racist."
Yeah.
You know how you solve that? Just let them have St. George's Day as a holiday, man. No, seriously.
I think so.
I think that argument has been going on for too long. I kind of feel like, I'm not saying that's going to be the massive cure, but I think it's a step in the direction.
Yeah, everyone should have their own thing.
It kind of makes sense, because if you got Black History Month,
No.
I would just say, hear me out. Everyone has a degree of representation now. You've got Black History Month, you've got Pride, you've got Eid, you've got Christmas, you've got a holy thing. St. Paddy's Day even. Let's have St. George's Day. Right. And then eventually some people that feel English, whether they're black, white, Asian, mixed, could also get involved with it.
And before anyone try to come for me, about, I ain't promoting that for. Listen, man, you got to remember, this is not our country. We just guessing this country.
We were discussing that before.
It is a country. It is. We have we have the full right to be here.
I would say
we do have the full right to be here.
I pay more than enough tax.
I agree with that.
But I think
I know the nuance.
You don't get a black man tax discount, do you?
You know what I mean? There's no credit there.
Yeah, there isn't.
You know what? I have a question. Yeah, I was thinking when we was talking about Australia. Yeah, so one of the things I've thought of is like, I'd like to go and retire in Mauritius.
That's where my mum. Country.
Fair play.
But there's a thing here. So like, Remo always says to me, because I wasn't born there.
Yeah.
I've not been there for more than just holidays.
Doesn't matter.
But to me, I always feel like it feels like home.
Okay.
And she's not uncomfortable with that. She's like, how can it be home? Now, she obviously grew up in Mumbai, lived there for 25 years, whatever.
So
she's like, that's home. That's what, and I get that.
Yeah.
But like, I was going to say to you guys, like, with your ancestral home.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys were born there or anything like that, but if not, do you see it as home?
No.
You don't?
Not at all. We are walking nomads.
Yeah.
And I say that in
okay.
sense of, we're not accepted here. Go back to our home countries. They think we're frigging
rich
men.
But same for me. Same for me.
Gold.
Yeah, but it's that fundamental. Too many people have gone back to their certain islands and have got murdered and
Extorted.
and
That's true.
So where is home?
It's a very poignant discussion, and we'll probably need to touch on that as a subject matter altogether.
Sorry, I guess I was just
It's a very good question. It's a very good point. But to answer your question, I'm thinking of potentially retiring somewhere sunny or somewhere warm. But given that I've lived the majority of my life in the West, my mindset is European. So I'm thinking somewhere like southern Italy, southern Spain even. Do you know what I'm saying? Or even somewhere like Thailand and them places they can.
That's not Europe.
Yeah, I know it's not.
Well, it might be more European by the time that you come to retire.
Because you know how many Europeans live out there.
This is what I mean. This is why I said that. So we can, we can say certain parts of Europe, south of France will be European now. But given the shifts with immigration and the genders that are moving, especially France. I mean, France.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It's a melting pot right now.
It is, It's not the France of
France
old.
has got the largest black population in Europe.
Serious?
The numbers are staggering. They would make man like what's that brother?
Tommy Robinson,
reform guy.
Nigel
Farage will be losing his shit. He would not be able to deal with it. But the levels of, because think about it, you got the Maghreb countries, the North Africans, and you got the Africans from the further south. I don't like to use the term sub-Saharan because it's a one whole giant continent anyway. But so you've got the Southern Africans or the Central Africans, West Africans, the North Africans, all living in France.
And the West Indians.
And the West Indians. Huge blackheads, huge ethnic mix actually. And the French are having a hard time dealing with it and containing it.
But isn't it all kind of like the West's fault for the migration, for all the wars they've started?
I hear that argument, but actually I don't think I think it's down to a political elite. Because when you start to really talk to people and ask people what they think about things, right, the majority aren't pushing or saying, you know what, this nation needs very liberal immigration policies.
So you're trying to say it's the government?
I think it's, if you look closely at where these policies and agendas have come from, it tends to be a political elite that have an agenda, that have an idea, that want to push it. And now what we're seeing, especially to bring it back to the UK, is the consequence where the white majority feel, whether people want to agree with it or not, they feel that they've been pushed to the side, they feel threatened, they don't like what's being seen, and there's now a response.
But again, obviously we're going to go on to a next episode about talking about Trump, basically. It's because I believe, in my personal opinion, it's a consequence of obviously them starting wars, and obviously, as you said, the government's letting obviously the numbers in and stuff like that. But if you blow up my country, then I'm fair game, innit? Basically, it's come to your country.
But not necessary, though.
I want to bring it around.
I think so.
But I want to bring it round to the question that P was saying, if you don't mind, because we're digressing just a tad. But what P is essentially referring to here, which is actually the next step, I believe, in social ascension, so to speak, is when you have enough money, like most British people do and most wealthy French people do, they don't often stay in France after they're retired. They seek pastures new in different parts of the world for tax reasons. Trav talked about tax earlier on. And Mauritius is a bit of a tax haven, bro. Like, from what I understand, a lot of Brits go there and live there because tax is quite favourable. So do you know what I mean? I think there'll be a generation, probably maybe ours and those after us, where they'll start looking at, well, I've made bare money now. I made bare pay. I don't need to live in England anymore. And besides, I'll get more value for money if I just duck. But I don't have to duck where I come from. I don't have to go yard, or I don't go Ghana or anywhere like that, because the man, they are hungry. And if they see me rocking jewels and that, they're going to snatch me up. So I'm going to go somewhere where it's considered to be safe, quote unquote safe.
Like you said,
But it's sad to say, sometimes it's not always where we come from, though. It's like where we come from is actually more murky than going to live somewhere in Thailand or somewhere, or do you know what I mean, Cambodia or somewhere like that. That's a bit where the people will welcome you and welcome your money, look at you as that. Thank you for coming here. How can we look after you?
Yeah, love you.
Back where we from, it's like, oh, you back here, bro? Man's getting jacked tonight.
That's why there's there's expat, and there has been expat communities in different parts of the world. They take the culture from A, place it in B, they get the benefits of the geography of B. And so, really, is there anything new in what we're talking about, suggesting we're doing?
That's true. Anyway, listen, guys, we need to wrap this up. But before I wrap this up, I want to ask a very final question to everybody. Yeah. Given the means and opportunity, will you come back to London?
I would like to have something in London. I was saying this the other week, like if I could have a nice Canary Wharf apartment on like the 20th floor where I don't hear the sound, I would probably come back. Yeah.
You would, okay. Yeah.
Same answer. Not Wharf though, but yeah.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
I'm planning on having a flat in London.
Yeah.
Obviously, but definitely. So always, I would like to have a base in London.
Always,
but not to live and bring up kids.
Okay, cool.
No, probably will go further afield.
For real.
I'm happy to be that commuter at Paddington Station. I might even stand in
Same. I'm happy living out the bit still. As long as I've got a flat crib, 3-4 acres, I'm good. All right, guys, listen. With that being said, thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to all our listeners. We appreciate your time. Please do not hesitate to like, share, subscribe, comment. Individually, drop DMs, drop your nudes, drop anything you want. We'll look at those and we'll tell you.
Podcast whenever it drops.
Talk about the royal we, yeah?
Yeah.
Millionaire, in his penthouse.
We're available in all digital platforms: Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, X. Where else? YouTube. You know,
Pornhub.
Not Pornhub. Not Pornhub.
Pornhub.
No, Pornhub. Yeah, my man's got
That's the red
OnlyFans
lights,
as well, man. Yeah. We're not on Pornhub and we're not on OnlyFans. No, not yet anyway, but we're thinking about it. But anyway, listen, guys, don't forget to follow us, man, and listen. Drop comments, man, and just tell us how you think about this situation. Tell us what you would do. You know, what you are doing. We certainly will want to hear it.
Interested to hear, man.
All right. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.